In these disjointed pandemic times, it is good to see some synergy in El Paso, Texas. And we're going to talk about one of the organizations that's really brought a whole lot of synergy to the Sun City. We're talking El Paso Rhinos hockey and El Paso, alias Hockeyville USA, with Rhinos head coach and CEO Cory Herman. I'm Duke Keith. This is El Paso Townsquare. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of El Paso Townsquare. I'm Duke Keith, along with the man who is president of Kraft Hockeyville. Can you be president of Kraft Hockeyville? Cory Herman, the head coach of the El Paso Rhinos. And first of all, I know that we've congratulated you earlier and exchanged texts and phone calls, but congratulations again officially on having the El Paso Rhinos, and even more so, the El Paso Hockey Association, named Kraft Hockeyville. I mean, what was it like to sit there and hear the commissioner of the National Hockey League read out the name El Paso, Texas live on national television?
No, it was pretty incredible. We were sitting there watching it, and we had to actually watch it through our computer. Listening to it, it just sounded like it took forever for him to, finally get to the point of opening up the envelope. But when he flipped the card over, I just saw the big E, and I was like, oh man, I can't believe this. This is unbelievable. And, you get it with a bunch of, emotions and stuff like that. But it's really, really awesome. It really is.
It is incredible to see the El Paso Rhinos honored for their work by, basically national hockey. You guys have been at this for, this is going to go on your 16th season here as you join the North American Hockey League, first in the NA3 and then the NAHL in 2021. This is an incredible amount of growth in just under 2 decades of work. And I know actually this goes back to 2001 for you when you kind of took over the El Paso Buzzards junior hockey program and turned it into the El Paso Rhinos way back in the day before there was ever the county event center where you were able to put the rink into what was basically a horse barn. You still played every once in a while at the El Paso County Coliseum. I remember calling the Greater Texas Hockey League Championships probably about a year or two before the Rhinos actually started in earnest. But this was a program that you've been building for the last 20 years, really.
Yeah, it started back in 2001, at the County Coliseum when the Buzzards were still here. And, it just kept kind of, it started off, there was only basically about 30 kids. And it just kind of, it just kind of got bigger and bigger and bigger. And, then, the Buzzards left and the ice plant at the Coliseum failed. And we were very fortunate with the El Paso Sports Commission to move into build kind of transform a equestrian center into an ice hockey rink. And, ever since we kind of moved over there, our programs went from, kind of scheduling around concerts and concerts and monster trucks and rodeos and stuff like that to where we could be open, when we're open we're open from September to May. But when you're open 7 days a week, your programs really start to grow. And one of the reasons why we brought the Rhinos to El Paso was to help grow our youth hockey program, because when the Buzzards left, we really didn't have, a hockey team or someone to help us promote hockey in El Paso, because it's very difficult. You have baseball and you have football and soccer. Those are your 3 biggest sports in El Paso, and to really promote hockey, you need kind of like a hockey team to kind of, help you with that. And that's one of the reasons why we brought the Rhinos. And I remember back then, when we're talking about junior hockey and different things like that, the Western States Hockey League was the league that fit perfectly, with us kind of still building, in an arena. The Western States Hockey League fitted perfectly. We always wanted to be in the North American Hockey League, but it took us basically 14 years to do it, just because of the level of talent that you have to recruit and just it's a very big deal to get into that North American Hockey League, and and as we were kind of going year by year by year, it was like, okay, well, we're not ready yet. We're not ready yet to make that jump. And then I think it was like 2 years ago when we went on that like 30, I'm not sure exactly the amount of games, but like, I think it was like 30 or 31 sellout streak we had. I kind of, we're kind of sitting there thinking like, man, I think we're ready to do it. And then last season, throughout the whole season, we're like, okay, let's start putting things together. And then, back in, I guess in June, we finally were voted in, and we're super excited. It's going to be awesome, and now to bring the NA3 team, it's kind of like having the Chihuahuas and the Padres like playing out of the same ballpark. Where you can kind of have your farm club right there, and if someone gets sick or hurt or whatever, you can call somebody right up because they're in the same city. So it works very, very well, and like I said, we're super excited about being in the North American Hockey League, and just the way they do things, and their professionalism, and just their brand is just unbelievable. Like this season in 2019 2020 season, over 360 players during that 1 year got an NCAA commitment, and over 67% of those NCAA commitments were Division One. So
Wow.
the players that are going to be coming to El Paso, you're going to see NHL draft picks like Patrick Kane. He played in the North American League. Phil Kessel played in the North American League. So but it's exciting. It's super exciting, and we can't wait for it to start.
Absolutely. I mean, you talk about the level of hockey. We'll get back to the Western States Hockey League in just a second, because I know that was an integral part of the growth of El Paso Rhinos hockey. But just to tell fans a little bit about what's coming up, and obviously back into Hockeyville too, but this is, as you talked about, 67% getting an NCAA Division I scholarship offer of those who were offered scholarships by NCAA schools. And there will be NHL talent skating on the ice for everybody to see in El Paso. I guess the trick for you and Vinnie Bone and your brother Tom and Cory Herman and all the folks associated with Rhinos hockey is to make sure that a lot of that NHL talent is going to be sitting on the home bench, correct?
Yeah, that's our goal, and when our whole plan was to take almost a year and a half to get the North American Hockey League team started, and it's funny you say that, because Vinny's in Omaha right now scouting some players, and that's what it takes. Like it'll take us a full year to really kind of put our team together, because we're starting with no players, and it's going to help that we're starting with our North American 3 Hockey League team here in just a couple months. There'll be a lot of those players that will be able to develop this year and be able to move them up to the North American Hockey League next year. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of work, but we're excited, and we can't wait for it to get started.
Absolutely, and it's going to be a lot of fun, I think, for people to see. And if you like Rhinos hockey as it's been, it's just going to be bigger and faster and better, the players that you see on the ice for both teams. And that's one thing, we talk about the Western States Hockey League and how much a part of its growth, how much a part of your growth that it's been. And I would imagine, basically out of nothing in a rodeo barn, taking Commissioner Ron White around the premises and say, hey, yeah, we're going to have a hockey rink here. That was probably a tough sell back in the day.
Yeah, it was, but what the Western States Hockey League allowed us to do was kind of grow our program with them, and it took us like it wasn't like it is now, like back 15, 16 years ago. Like the first year the players dressed out of a circus tent because the locker room was ready, and like every step, like every year, and that's one thing. Like we have one of the best staffs around. Like in the hockey world, we have one of the best staffs around, and every year we kind of try and look for something to make the program better. Like not just for the Rhinos, but make it better for our youth hockey, for our post skating, for our figure skating, for everything. And and it's taken us a while just to do this project and then do this project and this project, and but yeah, we're very thankful to the Western States Hockey League, and we're very excited about our new adventure and joining the North American Hockey League and the North American 3 Hockey League.
Yeah, this is going to be outstanding, and I know that there are a few programs around the NA NAHL and NA3 that do it the same way you're planning to do it. Specifically, the Texas Brahmas. People might remember from back in the Buzzards days, the old Fort Worth Brahmas, the team that the Buzzards beat for the President's Cup in '97, '98. That's a program in some form or fashion that's been around for a very long time. And I don't know if, are they still called the Texas Brahmas? I mean, how does that work? I know that they're there. North Richland Hills is where they're located. And they have both the NA and the NA3 teams, correct?
Yeah, they're still called the Texas Brahmas, and
Okay.
and that's one of the programs that we really looked at
Yeah.
when we we're kind of like saying, okay, can we do this? Can we not do this? And we kind of looked at their program, and we said, you know what, Fort Worth does a great job doing it, and if we kind of follow their model, we should be able to do the same thing. Obviously with a lot of hard work, but we should be able to do the same thing.
The NAHL, you want to be one of the top programs in the league, and that requires a certain level of building. I know that you guys plan things out. You've talked about planning just to get to this point, and that's taken some 16 years. What do you think you need to compete successfully for, Robertson Cups and so forth in the North American Hockey League?
Well, we're going to have to, it doesn't really happen overnight. Like you have to really build your program, and you got to get some, you can't just all have all 20-year-olds. Like you got to build, like you got to get a bunch of good young talent that you can develop for, not for maybe this season, but you're looking for year 2, 3, different things like that. But it's gonna be a lot of hard work, and it's gonna, we have a tough path ahead of us to be, one of those elite teams in the North American Hockey League. But like we have a plan, and we're very prepared, and we believe in our system and what we've thought out, we're like it's going to take us one whole year to really get to find the players, because you're competing with 28 other teams, 20 other North American League hockey teams that are looking at the same players, so it's going to be a tough road, but we're excited about it, that's for sure.
Well, absolutely, and I think that's the thing is the NAHL has a draft. Like all the players that are coming to NAHL programs are known. They're known quantities, and it's just very different. It's a lot more even from top to bottom of the league, I would imagine, than the Western States Hockey League. For all the good that it's done, El Paso Rhinos hockey, there was a little disparity in talent from top to bottom. That is kind of erased when all of the guys who come into the NA they're well known as to how good they are coming out of, I guess it would be midget AAA? Is that kind of a level below?
Yeah, so starting November 1st, we can start signing players to what they're called tenders, and that's basically like protecting them onto your roster for the following season. So, we'll be able to start tendering players, and we can tender up to 15 players for next season. Then our draft happens, in June. So, yeah, you really gotta have a good scouting staff. And that's probably, that's a huge, part of any, hockey team, at the North American Hockey League level or USHL or anything like that. You got to have a really good staff that's going out there, or scouting staff that's going out there and, really looking at, high school hockey, in Minnesota, Michigan, all those different places, and, all the AAA hockey too. But you got to kind of, you just can't really focus on one little area. You got to basically focus on, you got to go to places where maybe the other teams aren't going, because you can only have 4 imports, so most of your hockey talent is coming from the U.S. And, there's a lot of hockey talent in the U.S.,
And this is, you talk about the National Hockey League and where they're getting their players from. I know that there's a player from Texas who made a conference finals. I know that there's Austin Matthews who grew up in suburban Phoenix. Hockey is very much all over the place. So it's not just the Midwest and the Northeast where you're going to be finding some of these guys, right?
Yeah, like if you look back, I can't remember the exact year, but the year that Gretzky was traded from the Edmonton Oilers to the Los Angeles Kings, if you look back to then, like right now you go to California and there are rinks everywhere. Yeah. And, a lot of that has to do with Gretzky getting traded to the LA, because as soon as Gretzky got traded to LA, hockey just, grew so much. And then you look at Dallas, when the Minnesota North Stars, moved to Dallas, the Dallas hockey programs, just like there's rinks upon rinks in Dallas. And it's the same thing with Phoenix. When the Coyotes moved to Phoenix, all of a sudden there's all these different rinks. So yeah, like hockey is, getting into different areas. And now, now if you look at, I think it's not next year, but the year after, with the team going up to Seattle, that whole Seattle program's gonna really grow. So hockey's getting to be all over the place now, and you have to find talent. You got to basically you got to be that guy in the rink that nobody else is in, looking at, man, this kid that's 14, when he turns 16, 17, he's going to be really, really good. And you basically have to go backwards and start scouting guys that are 13, 14 years old and just keep watching them, and then those are the guys, because, everybody's scouting the best 17 and 18-year-old players, every single team. But you got to kind of work backwards and say, okay, we're going to scout these 14-year-olds because in 2 years we think that they could be, really, really good. And you start scouting them even then. So, you kind of always have a plan. Like you have obviously a 5-year plan, a 3-year plan, and a next year's plan. But in your 5-year plan and even your 3-year plan, you're going to have a bunch of, 13, 14-year kids that you're looking at right now.
That's amazing to think about. The level of planning, and I guess it's wonderful to have somebody like Vinnie Bone back in the fold. Here's a guy who played under you, went on to college coaching, has coached in the U.S. Hockey League. That's Junior A Tier 1. These are the guys who are almost guaranteed college scholarships, if not looks by the pros, in the United States. And he's been there in the North American Hockey League. He's been in the USHL, and he wants to come back and join you with the El Paso Rhinos as your associate head coach, correct?
Yeah, like when we started kind of putting this all together, Vinny's played for us for 2 years, played college hockey, he coached in the NA3, the North American 3 Hockey League for a year. He coached in the North American Hockey League. He's coached in the USHL. He's coached in the NCAA. He coached with me, not last year, but the 2.5 years before that. And when we're putting all this together, I called up Vin and I was like, hey, if we're going to do this, I want you to be with me. And he says, yeah, coach. He said, for sure. I'll come back. But no, we work really, really well together. Vin's, he knows exactly. Cause like our program, we look for, a specific kind of player. It is pretty difficult to play here. Just, difficult as in we practice a lot. We train very hard. We practice very hard. And, we look for the players that, they might not be like the number one, skilled player, but they are the kind of player that you want in the playoffs. That player is going to do whatever it takes to win. Like he's going to block that real important shot. Like he's going to do all the little things to win a championship. So we look for kind of specific players and sometimes we're not looking for the exact same players that other teams are looking for. We're looking for players that hey, this guy right here, he's going to be an unbelievable playoff player. And if you ever watch the NHL playoffs, all the top guys, during the regular season, every single NHL coach puts their best checking line against, the leading scorer of that team. So basically you just kind of counter them with your best checking line. So then you have to rely on guys on the third line, on the fourth line, guys that don't normally score to contribute. And those are kind of the guys that we kind of bring in. And, because, you can look back at the championships we won. There's a lot of unsung heroes that were like, oh man, that guy really didn't, that guy didn't put up a lot of numbers in the regular season, but man, he was unbelievable in the playoffs. And those are the type of players that we kind of look for. Oh, you're on mute.
I am. Well, your last Thorn Cup championship season, that was exactly the team. I don't think that there was a guy in the close to the top 10 in terms of scoring, in terms like goals and assists or whatever. You had some guys who were a whole bunch of them around that, but nobody really in those top spots. But you guys went undefeated in winning your second consecutive Thorn Cup. It's the first time you've ever repeated as champions in the Western States Hockey League, and it was with a team that lost its fair share of games in the regular season, but when it came playoff time, they shut the door. It was an incredible, incredible run.
Yeah.
That's the kind of team you're looking for.
Absolutely, and I think that year, I don't think we even had a guy in the top 25. But we had a lot of guys. Yeah, we had a lot of guys that contributed, and we didn't have a 70-point guy, but we had a bunch of 30-point guys.
Yeah.
So and we had a lot of guys that and if you looked at that series that when we went up to Ogden and won. If you look at just the amount of shots we blocked, and that's a huge thing. That was the big thing is man, El Paso just blocked so many shots. And those are the type of players that it's not fun blocking shots. That little puck, it's not it doesn't feel very good when you block it. But when you have a group of guys that want to win a championship, they'll do whatever it takes to win. And, we didn't, on paper, we weren't even close to the best team. I would say out of this, I forget how many teams were there, 8 teams or 6 teams. Yeah. Out of the six teams that were there, we were probably on the, on paper, probably the 6th team or the 5th team, But we had a bunch of guys that just, and that was the other thing too is they just work so hard. And they were a type of team where, and every year we have a type of team where, usually our third period is our best period,
Yeah.
And that's when we start really turning it up, and that's when we've worn the team down for 2 periods, and all of a sudden now we start picking it up, and the third period is usually our best period.
Well, and that's not only a physical style of play, it's not only the kind of hockey team that'll go down and block shots and get the little things done. And it's also a team that it's made up of a bunch of guys that will be willing to go out into the community and do some things, because not everybody likes to go out and be as socially active as El Paso Rhinos players and as your whole organization around their respective communities. And especially, I would imagine if you are in a pretty hockey-intensive place up in the Northeast or Midwest, you're one of 20 other teams doing the same thing. It's probably not as big a deal to be as socially active as you are, but you are the hockey team in El Paso, and you guys go out everywhere, don't you?
Yeah, well, we have a lot of programs. Like we have our Skate Mates program where, the same couple players will go to, the same school, every week or every second week, and they kind of create kind of a bond with the students there, and the students want to come, and they want to come to a Rhino game and watch their new best friend play, but the thing is we believe in we're so proud to be a part of El Paso, and we're very proud to call El Paso home, and we want to give something back to the community because they support us so well. We're very fortunate that we have the fan base we have, and we're very fortunate to be sold out pretty much 95% or whatever the number is, but it's around 95% of the time. We're very fortunate to do that. So we want to make sure that we're out in the community and and giving back to the community, where if it's going to schools or if it's doing field trips or if it's doing different charity events, different things like that. We want to we love being out in the community and kind of giving back.
Well, let's move on to Kraft Hockeyville, because the changes that this is bringing about are pretty instantaneous, at least as far as you're concerned. You're ready to get things going. Not only will you be at some point, and this is somewhere down the line, hosting an NHL game, which is just going to be great and really, really cool for the community, as well as whoever comes to El Paso. I know you guys are going to roll out the red carpet for everybody who shows up, but there will be rink improvements that people will begin to see this next season when you guys start up in October. Talk about some of the things that you're already doing with that $150,000 that I guess it's basically El Paso County and the Sports Commission that gets the check, but it goes straight back into the rink, because that's what it's for, is rink improvements.
Yeah, they'll be they give us the money. We're looking at the different upgrades we want to do to the rink. Obviously, the roof. The roof. There's really nothing wrong with the roof. The roof is just basically when the building was built, it was built to basically have livestock events, rodeo events. So there's a lot of vents on the top of the roof that basically are there to let the dust out, so it's not too dusty in there. Well, when you have an ice rink, you want to make sure that everything's sealed up. So we have a a roofing company that's going to be starting probably next week. They're going to be getting everything sealed up, get everything to make sure that, there's spots in there that need, a little bit of extra insulation. They're going to be putting that on. They're going to be putting a coat on the roof to make sure that, that the roof is reflecting the sun, rather than absorbing the heat. We're looking at doing entryway into the building where you have like a breezeway where you go through one set of doors, then you walk about 12, 15 feet, and then you go through another set of doors that keeps the heat out and the cold in. We're also looking at, changing the lighting in the arena to all the LED lighting. That'll just make things a lot brighter and a lot nicer in there. So yeah, we're real excited about, all the upgrades. It's going to, the rink's going to look unbelievable here in the, next couple months. And, we're super excited and it's gonna be awesome. It really is. And then, and then to host the NHL game, the city and the Paso Sports Commission and the Rhinos and the Hockey Association, we're going to put on an event that they're never ever going to forget. But I'm just really excited. I'm just really, really excited for the city just to be able to hold that event. Like it's going to be awesome. It really, really is. And just to have like two professional teams here for, they're probably going to be here for maybe 2-3 days. You know what I mean? So it's going to be great.
It's going to be like a Sun Bowl. You bring the teams in and party. I'm sure that, maybe mariachis and so forth at the airport to welcome them in whenever that happens. And I know there's no timeline just because of all the stuff that's going on with COVID-19 and, but it is going to happen. I mean, that's part of the contract of being Kraft Hockeyville. And what an event that is going to be for all of the fans of El Paso. And quite the gift that you're going to be able to give them for supporting you through it. I would be curious, and I know that they probably don't tell you, voting results. I just wonder what the support was, because you had guys from Chris Jericho tweeting their support to Shim, who is the lead singer of his own band and part of some great rock heritage there. You had Dean Cain, the former Superman, tweeting his support and kind of retweeting, vote for the El Paso Rhinos and Kraft Hockeyville. You had all of this, celebrity support in addition to a lot of people in El Paso to kind of get out the vote. Have they kind of given you any idea of how well you guys did in relation to the other four finalists, or other three finalists,
No.
I should say? No. Okay.
No, they haven't, and I don't think they ever like show who won or who had the most, like how many votes he really had. But
Right.
yeah, we're super fortunate for and super thankful for everybody that voted for us, everybody that helped us win. Like there's three people that worked very, very hard to do this, and they started working back in December. Gus, my wife and Tyler, they worked super hard with this, and I'm talking 14, 16 hours a day to do this, and they put it all together, and but no, it was awesome, and we're super thankful for everybody that voted. It's funny because being around town, even at the gas station or whatever, or even going to the bank, if you have your Rhino stuff on there, like, oh, you're with the Rhinos, and we're like, yes, he goes, you know what, I voted, so it was really, really cool.
That is wonderful, absolutely wonderful, and I would imagine it just helps. It's not the best of situations that you're the only game in town in terms of ice, in terms of an actual rink. It's the only hockey rink around, the only full-size hockey rink anywhere in El Paso and Ciudad Juarez. I know there's a small one in a mall in Ciudad Juarez, Mexico, but you're basically it from miles and miles. I guess the next hockey rink closest would be up in Albuquerque, 4 hours away. So that hinders you a little bit, but it also makes you the focus of people's attention, and that has to make you feel good. That very rewarding to have El Paso, probably the first city anywhere outside of the Midwest or Northeast that's been a finalist for Kraft Hockeyville. One of them, anyway. Wichita was in there with you too this year, but it has to be one of the first years anybody from outside of the Midwest or Northeast was part of this.
Yeah, and it was, and it's I think having Hockeyville down here, it helps grow the game, down here, and But yeah, I'm not sure what the closest one would be to us, but I would imagine they're mostly up in the Midwest, Northeast, places like that.
Absolutely. And as you move on with that, the Kraft Hockeyville, head of steam into whatever comes next, I mean, what can fans look forward to beginning this season? I know that there will be, at least in the NA3, you're still doing the 3 games in 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but that's going to change in the North American Hockey League, and lots of very familiar hockey rivalries for any longtime Buzzards fan. You're going to remember the rivalries with the New Mexico Scorpions and the Odessa Jackalopes and the Texas Brahmas, the Fort Worth Brahmas, and things like that. They're all a part of this, aren't they?
Yeah, and that was when we announced the North American Hockey League team. If you remember the old Buzzard days, like if you kind of look at our division, you'll kind of see a lot of the old teams like Albuquerque, Odessa, Amarillo, Fort Worth, Corpus Christi, Shreveport, all those different teams. And the other cool thing about the North American Hockey League too is that they only play on Friday and Saturday nights. So with us having a lot of close travel partners that that normally we don't have, like in the past 15 seasons, we can do a lot of home and homes. So maybe on Friday night we travel to Albuquerque, play a game there. Booster Club gets a couple fan buses and we go up there and play. And then Saturday they either come back and play us, or maybe we play Odessa at home on a Saturday night. So yeah, I think our fans are going to be really excited about that. Like be able to have the home and home games, or just the Friday and Saturday games. But yeah, and I think also getting all those rivalries back. Like with all those teams that are in our division. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It really is.
It's going to be. I think it's going to be wonderful for the fans, and I think that it's really a testament to the work you guys have put in over these 16 years just to get here, from the beginning of the El Paso Rhinos. But I mean, we talked about it. The Hockey Association goes back to the early 2000s as well, and you've had lots of people like your old teammate Cory Herman, who's now the general manager, your brother Tom, who came a few years ago, Dave Herman, your other brother, who is off building things in Abilene these days, and was part of the Rhinos program from the very first. He was in town. And then you talk about people like Tyler DeLoach, who grew up an El Paso Buzzards fan as a little girl, went to Georgetown. While she was at Georgetown, basically became your director of hockey operations, and put together a lot of the graphics packages you see on the Rhinotron and all the television stuff and the media outreach. That was all Tyler, and she would spend her weekends coming back on her own dime to come to El Paso in her hometown. Right? She wasn't like a remote campusing from El Paso to Georgetown. She was in Washington, D.C., would fly back. She has her degree, and the first thing she does is she wants to come and be a part of your program. That just speaks to what has been built here over the last 2 decades.
Yeah, and we always talk about that, like all the different people that helped us, like like back when we very first started, the Sports Commission helping us, and believing in us, and my brother Dave and Tom, and just all the different people, like and Tyler, too, like coming back, and she was like you said, just going back and forth from Georgetown when she was getting her degree, but it all goes back to like having a good team. And, like I said all the time, like, I give hats off to our staff, because we have one of the best staffs around, if not the best. And, I'm very thankful for that, because, the program wouldn't be where it is today if we didn't have, an unbelievable staff. And you can even look back to, like yourself as our play-by-play guy. Like, everybody always gives us so many compliments on you, like that, you're the best in the WSHL. And you go to look back, and, like our bus driver, Troy. Like, our bus driver, Troy, is one of the best bus drivers around. Like, then you look back at our off-ice crew. Our off-ice crew, we get compliments all the time that you guys have the best off-ice group around. And then you look back at all our housing families. We get so many compliments of how great our housing families are. And and then, you look back and all our fans, and if we didn't have the fans, like I talk about that all the time to a lot of people, that, when you're trying to recruit a hockey team, especially junior hockey team, like the fans really, like are such a big part of recruiting, because when you're recruiting a junior hockey player, like when they see videos and they see stories about sellout crowds and playing in front of a big crowd, the fans are such a big part of us recruiting, and just every little part, like like yourself and the off ice crew and our great housing families and our bus driver and just everybody, we just try and put together the absolute best staff. And I truly believe we have the best staff.
Well, it's been an honor to be a part of that, and I appreciate you asking me back in the day to do this. And back when it was not video, it was just we were basically doing a webcast on audio only. It's a wonderful thing to get to be a part of El Paso hockey, and in such a unique setting. I don't think a lot of people thought much of El Paso as a hockey market, but you talk about the NBC Sports Special when you did the exhibitions with the Mexican junior national team, and getting the attention of NHL.com and Bill Douglas and Anson Carter with NBC Sports and the NHL on NBC. You see him every night. He's a studio host virtually every night. They have the NHL on NBC. You can watch that guy. He came to El Paso. He absolutely loves it and can't wait to be back when they do the Hockeyville thing and bring the NHL teams here. You've built a following, and it's just rewards for putting together the class program that you have from top to bottom. I'll tell you what, that NBC Sports thing, I think, really, really helped tell the story properly of what hockey means in El Paso, and the roots that you guys have really laid down here.
Yeah, and I think so too. Like it's been, it's been tough. Like it's been, we kind of basically, every year just try to make the program a little bit better, and to try to make, like the arena better, and different things like that. Like we didn't, like I said before, like the arena didn't really start how it is right now. It's been like every year just one more thing and one more thing and one more thing. But it's like I said, like it's been a lot of hard work from a lot of people to make the program what it is today. And again, like I'm super thankful to everybody. But it's been a great run. That's for sure. It's been awesome. It really, really has.
Well, as it moves into its third decade of existence in some form or fashion, El Paso Hockey Association and the El Paso Rhinos really making a statement as becoming Kraft Hockeyville for 2020. And that speaks not just to the Rhinos, we've talked plenty about them, but you talked about the Learn to Skate and skate mates and figure skating and all the different things that happen, activities on the ice and things you're a part of. That's what it's about. And allowing the rink to maybe stay up and running a little bit longer with the roof improvements too. That's something else. It gets awfully hot in El Paso in the summertime, but the insulation is going to help you maybe keep things around a little longer for people to be a part of stuff.
Yeah, hopefully, I think like a lot of all the different rink improvements that we're going to be doing for Hockeyville, really, they don't really benefit, like they do benefit the Rhinos, but they really benefit all our other programs that we do in the rink. And what a lot of people don't understand is that, the Rhinos really aren't the big thing in the arena. Like, the Rhinos only play on, 24 nights, but the rink is full, from, Monday morning to late Sunday night, every single week. There's figure skating, there's Learn to Skate, there's Learn to Play, there's, youth hockey leagues, there's youth house leagues, there's youth competitive leagues, there's, adult hockey, there's, adult beginner hockey. Like there's so many, there's public skating, there's birthday parties, there's field trips. Like, so the rink is very, very, it's used a lot, but like doing all these, improvements really help those programs, because, the Rhinos are here when it's kind of the coldest. They're kind of playing when it's kind of the coldest outside in El Paso, but like our youth programs kind of start, mid-September and they last till May 31st. And in those kind of months, it kind of does get a little bit warmer. And with all these improvements, it'll keep the ice, in better condition and will help those programs. Having better ice in those times, could also lead to having more youth hockey tournaments, in late May. Like we talked, and we're going to have our very first Rhino tryout camp. And that's one of the other big things about the North American Hockey League, is that you have these big tryout camps where you host one, and there'll be 300 to 400 kids travel from all over the United States, Canada, and Europe to come try out for your team. And we're going to have one here pretty much. I think it's going to be at the kind of the end part of May. It's going to go basically Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So we're going to have like 300 to 400 kids, probably around 350 kids, come to El Paso, stay in hotels, eat at our restaurants, all that stuff, 300. And they're all coming, they're all individuals, and they'll be here for a good 4 to 5, 6 days maybe, because they have to fly here, 6 days to come try out for a team. And, and that's going to help the community as well. But that's one of the things, with the North American Hockey League, you have those big tryout camps and stuff like that. So that'll help our community. And, doing these improvements, the ice is going to be really good at the end of May. So we're able to have, that big tryout camp. So yeah, it's gonna be awesome. Like, like our Learn to Skate, and all those other programs like figure skating and the youth hockey, they grow every single year. And one of the things I think is that the reason that they grow is because everything kind of works together. Like, the Rhinos help out the youth program, and they also help out figure skating, because, when someone sees the Rhinos or hears about the Rhinos, they're like, oh, there's an ice rink in El Paso. I want to go down there, and, my daughter might want to go figure skating, or my son might want to try youth hockey. But it's even like during a Rhino game, a family might come watch the Rhinos play. And then after every single game, we always have that skate with the players after. And, their son and daughter might want to go skate with the players. Well, they might have a really good time skating with the players. And then they're like, Mom, Dad, we want to go public skating. They have public skating next weekend. So then they come public skating, and then maybe they want to have their birthday party here. And then when they have their birthday party here, maybe they, run into a player or a figure skater that is figure skating. And they're like, well, you know what? I'd like to try youth hockey, or I'd like to try figure skating. So all of a sudden, everything is kind of working together to kind of, and then, and then it also works in the reverse. You have a youth, figure skater or a hockey player that, really enjoys playing youth hockey. And they're like, Mom, Dad, I want to go watch the Rhinos play. Yeah. And then also that also helps with Hockeyville, where, I don't think we would have won Hockeyville if we wouldn't have had all our youth hockey players, all our figure skaters, our Learn to Skate people, like all our adult hockey players. I don't think we would have won Hockeyville if we wouldn't have had all those people either. So yeah. It kind of, everything, it's kind of like helps, everything helps one another. You know what I mean?
Sure. There's a definite synergy at work in this whole thing. And I think that it's speaking from experience as a club volleyball dad from back in the day. I know that those youth tournaments bring in some serious money for when it comes to, hotels and meals and families coming down to participate in that kind of stuff. And the more of these you get to throw, especially with the tryout camp included, the better it is for really the whole city of El Paso. And that really does build a kind of a synergy. It's pretty cool to see. Cool to see. And as you guys get ready for this next season, I know that people are anxious to see the schedule and so forth. And I know that there'll be social distancing, but as we wrap things up, talk about what people are going to be able to maybe be a part of, even if they can't come into the arena, just depending on social distancing guidelines and where, the novel coronavirus is in El Paso when you guys do start up. Because I know you guys are planning some things to kind of help things out and maybe, take a look at Rhinos hockey from the parking lot.
Yeah, like that's our plan. Like if we can't have, like our normal crowds inside the rink, we're going to basically host the biggest drive-in hockey theater you've ever seen. And, we want to kind of create that same atmosphere like what you're used to coming inside the rink, where you'll experience the same kind of thing outside the rink, where, this will be the same promotions and the same big videotrons and we'll be broadcasting the game outdoors and the concession stand and the merchandise stand and different things like that. But what we also want to do for the players is to be able to somehow have the sound of the crowd outside that the players can kind of hear it inside. Because I'm sure everybody outside is going to be pretty loud, just like they are inside, and we want to be, well, we want the players to be able to hear that. We have plans where we're going to have like cameras that, that the big cameras that are up, like real high up in the air, that they can kind of show the players like the, everybody that's in the parking lot, to get some really cool like camera views and different things like that, and try and make it, as awesome as possible.
Well, and it's I know that people will show up, and that's not necessarily true of every junior hockey team or market. It is certainly true in El Paso, and this energy continues. You give back to the community gives back to you, and that's the way it's going to be going into the third decade of El Paso Rhinos hockey. Cory, again, congratulations to you and to the whole staff, to Cory Herman, to your brother Tom, to all the folks behind the scenes, Tyler DeLoach as well. Gus, you talked about him, to your wife. I mean, shout out to Shay, who, as you pointed out, worked with Tyler and Gus incessantly to kind of bring El Paso and Hockeyville together. And that is really tremendous work. Congratulations again. And we look forward to seeing whatever the future brings, however it brings it to you, because we're all in this together, correct?
That is absolutely correct. And thanks for having me. I really, really appreciate having me on.
Our thanks to Cory Herman and the El Paso Hockey Association, along with the El Paso Rhinos. And if you have any interest in being a part of anything on ice, whether that's Rhinos hockey, whether that is youth travel teams, whether that's figure skating, learn to skate, adult hockey, beginning adult hockey, it's all there for you, elpasorhinos.com, and the link to the El Paso Hockey Association as well, online, or check out their Facebook pages. Our appreciation to you for watching today, and we'll see you next week. Until then, this is El Paso Townsquare. I'm Duke Keith. So long, everybody.